Welcome to the Misfit One Lifestyles with Elizabeth Colin. She will awaken and connect with your Misfit One. Are you tired of the ups and downs in your life? Are you ready to live a healthy lifestyle once and for all? We are talking about all aspects of your life. Being fit is not just physical, it's also your mind and soul. Learn how to take steps in your life to move towards your goals. Elizabeth's goal is for everyone listening to the sound of her voice to get fit. Let's get focused, let's get intentional, and let's transform. Now here's your host, Elizabeth Colin.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Misfit One Lifestyles with your girl, Elizabeth Colin, also known as Misfit One. Guys, I am so excited for our next guest. Listen, you know I am all about gratitude and how it can actually change our life. You know that, right? So my guest is all about that. So Hell Cesar, how are you?
I'm well. How are you doing, Elizabeth?
I am so good. I'm so honored to be speaking with you today. So let before we start, because I have so many questions, I got all the good feelings going on. But before we start that, I want to let everybody know who you are. So give the people a little of insight into who you are.
Yeah, well, that's actually a pretty deep question, I gotta say. I think we're all pretty divine. But if I go a couple levels above that, born and raised outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and as a child, I've always wanted to bring awareness to that inner light, and specifically by making it easier than ever for anyone to access it, whether that was through literacy, whether that was through medicine, or whether that was law. I was exploring all the time. And so I ended up deciding that business was the way to go. And the reason why is that I found that the common denominator for every person, if you want to make an impact, is consumer. I had a nonprofit, a literacy foundation. We would reroute books from kids who have to kids in need across the United States. I worked in government. I worked at the White House at one point. So
fascinating. I
yeah,
love
you have
kind of skipping over these things like it's no big deal. Like, yeah, I've done this and I've done that. No, this guy is pretty phenomenal. I mean, the impact that you have made on so many people is great. And I want to say I'm grateful for that. Like, really, that inner spirit, that inner light that you talk about. I love how you, like you said, you kind of just like, and I did this. And so you've always known you want to shine that inner light.
yeah, actually I don't know where it is. Actually, I just had it around here somewhere. I just went to my childhood home a few days ago and we had this basement of storage of all this stuff.
Wow.
And I came across a book that I wrote, like on my own, called My Poems. And I do you mind if I get up, and it's right next to me, to just pick it? It would be funny
Okay,
to read
this
this.
is how it is. Yes. So this is so cute. So Hell has always wanted the inner light to shine in all of us, that he found a book that he wrote when he was a kid.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
come to read it. Read it.
yeah.
So how old
So this
were
is
you?
what it looks like. I mean, I was
Oh,
probably, yes, yeah, it's yeah. I think I it spanned middle school maybe and early high school, like maybe from
right,
between fifth and seventh grade or eighth
right.
grade,
So
fifth and eighth grade.
people can't see it, and he held
Yeah.
up. I have to put this clip up, but he held up a journal that is all drawn on. It says my palm. So
Yeah.
cute. We all had that notebook. We've all had a notebook that we drew on and made it so beautiful. So go ahead, read a poem.
Yeah, so I was blown away when I opened up and read this. And so the title of what I wrote is It Worth It? And I wrote, is it worth it to have all the materials? Is it worth it to have all the might of weapons? This world life is nothing. It only matters what we do. Are we going to worry about stocks, houses, and cars? I can't believe I was writing this at that time. I was talking about stocks, cars, and houses and cars. We are nothing without heart and knowledge. You can have everything, but without heart and knowledge, a person is not a person. Genghis Khan had the biggest empire. Alexander the Great had the second biggest empire. Do we care? But people who had heart, only heart and knowledge, were the most important and known people. And then I go on. But this was like, I was young when I was writing this. With like this,
That's mind blowing for middle school. That says a lot though about your home, what your parents talked about, because you were pretty engaged and informed at that age. It wasn't like you were talking about Spider-Man and those kind of things. So it says a lot about your household.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I was very reflective growing up, and I think that's what gratitude's all about too. And then I just looked around me and I saw who are the people who are the happiest, and I noticed that it wasn't necessarily the people who seemed to have it all. It was really just where your heart was, and all of us want to just feel inner peace, joy, and love. The energy, the light that you're radiating, that I see, and that's really, really why we're here.
You
And so,
know,
how do we get there, right?
that is so important. I did the morning show um for spring, spring is sprung. And the things I talked about, which is crazy, was how we can spring into gratitude and how that could really, lighten us up. And it really does affect the outcome of your life.
Yeah.
And so the three things that I talk about gratitude, because I'm always thinking out of the box. Like my husband said, I live in La La Land. And I said, yes, I live in La La Land. You're more than welcome to join me, but I'm definitely not going out there. But the three things that I talked about, and you tell me, what do you think about these? Okay.
Yeah.
First thing I talked about was sending thank you cards to people in your family, but the very beautiful watercolor, what I'm talking about? Those
Yeah,
things.
I do.
Wouldn't that be cool to receive a thank you card out of the blue just because I'm thinking about you and I'm thankful for you? And not only receiving it, but think about how you feel when you're writing it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
100%. Actually, it's so ironic that you say that, because I literally have this like paper here on that I'm going to be writing, a thank you letter to somebody for them being themselves. And so I completely agree with you. What's the second or third one?
Okay, the second one was starting a spring garden,
Okay, that's
because
nice.
it's important of grounding yourself, getting out there in nature and feeling all the stuff, even if you do it in a box or a pot or whatever, just touching the dirt. And then the third one, which is my wackadoodle one, but I love, 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 is everything you touch, say thank you for it. Like, thank you for this pen. Thank you for this. You can, if you do that all day, how happy would you be?
This is brilliant. So La La Land is the land. That's the place we want to all be. But I'll tell you what's brilliant about it. And there's a few things, but one in particular, that last one. So many of us, when we start, a lot of us have heard that gratitude is important, right? We know that increases happiness, joy. Some of us don't know that it actually improves our cardiovascular health, improves our quality of sleep, boosts our immune system, gives us even longer lifespans. Those who are grateful versus those who are less grateful. So then the question becomes, how do we do it? And that goes to your third point. And one of the points about how do we actually express gratitude is specificity. The littlest things, the littlest texture, the littlest moment. And what's brilliant about this, not just its impact in the moment, but when you go and look back on your journal and you remember the little moments, they inspire memories that you would have otherwise totally forgotten.
You showed that today when you picked up that
Yeah.
note. I mean, just to see look at me in middle school. I was brilliant. I'm a genius. Look at this.
I don't know about that, but I'll take it. Why not? I was definitely, because I was actually saying this to a friend, which is that sometimes we show our gratitude to the most immediate moment that we've been, over the last couple of years, over the last 6 months, from this to that I'm grateful for this change in my life. But what about from where we really came from? And yesterday I was almost tearing because I was raised in a neighborhood, a very homogeneous neighborhood, where I was actually frequently told by my community, except a few gems here and there, that I wasn't good enough. I didn't measure all these, negative things. And I inwardly believed otherwise.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah. And so I was saying, I said, if someone went to that person and said to that young kid, and said, oh, this and this and this is what would happen, I would be, oh my God, literally is what I would say. And so that brings you in more gratitude. And there's so many techniques like that to make it accessible for everybody.
and let's talk about that, because that is what you specialize in. Like when I hear your name, I go, oh, yep, gratitude, that inner light. So let's talk about it to the listeners out there. Like, what are ways? I want to go back to what you said, the little things.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that. First of all, how do we show gratitude without the uh how do you say, the complications of it? You know how people try to make it so complicated, like you have to do this, you have to have a journal,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have that's like, so let's talk about that a little bit.
It's a solid point. And because so many of us are turned off and therefore don't do it, it feels like a chore. It's like, oh, all right, I got to be grateful now. So I think the first thing is mercy. I love that. Mercy. And
Mercy.
being merciful to yourself, meaning, hey, even if I do a little bit, that is a win. Even if it's one word, it's a win. And
Winning.
exactly, every little step, it could be a small step like an ant step, or it could be a leap. You're amazing. And there's that compassion for oneself that is so important. So the first thing to note is just the fact that you're thinking about it and doing it, you're incredible as a result, right?
Right.
And that's motivating. And the second thing is lowering the bar of what's acceptable, uh, acceptable by society,
Okay, so like
quote
break that
unquote.
down. My hand went up like, wait, I got questions. Can we break that down?
For sure. So, for example, you mentioned earlier, like a lot of people think and they hear, I have to buy a journal. I got to write every single day. I got to do it before bed. All these I gottas. And let's be honest. And I was one of those people that tried to do this and failed. After 5 days, I failed. I was that bad at doing it, which was like, we're busy. Sometimes we're traveling. Sometimes we don't have our journal with us, right? I mean, sometimes we're just not in the mood, whatever. And then what ends up happening where it becomes a chore is we miss it. We miss that day. And then we go back and say, you know what? I'm just messing up. I'm not good enough, whatever.
Failed
And
at this too,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what does that mean? Do it in the way you want to. This is what I did, and I think that this is what we should all do in life generally, which is taking agency for how we want to express it. So what I ended up doing is I started writing an email to myself, just like one sentence. And I would send it to myself. I'd say, come back 3 days later, 4 days later in my inbox.
Oh, and so that's amazing. Now that is brilliant. I love that.
It's so simple, right? It's like, all right, 1 second, let me write something. And I didn't care about grammar. I wasn't writing this to be published anywhere. I just wrote it for myself, schedule, send it 3 to 4 days later. It would come back into my inbox. And then I would open it up, write in it again. Maybe it's one word or a sentence, and then schedule, send it again. And I ended up doing it for 3 years.
Wow. You know what? Just to go back to read those sentences or that word says a lot about what happened at that moment. Like you said earlier, when you read it, it instantly brings you back.
Yeah.
Right? So
That's the magic too.
That's pretty profound to be able to say, wow, I was thinking, and that's so funny that you say that, because I found journals that I wrote. I mean, I was doing what's this thing? Manifesting. I've been doing this as a kid. Like
Yeah.
before you write down, you go, I've been doing this. When I read, I'm gonna say about junior high when I read, or fifth grade when I read Dear God is Me, Margaret.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I started writing, Dear God is Me, Elizabeth, and then to that out, right?
It's
And
beautiful.
it's so funny the things that I've written, and I go, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's so crazy. And it does, it brings you right back to that moment. And that is the magic.
Exactly. And it's amazing. It's almost like I call it an emotional light switch, which is like once there'll be mornings, maybe I wake up and I'm a bit down, etc. And I literally would read my gratitude journal, like I'm like, wow, there's hope and gratitude and all the things that we
Right.
talk about. And one thing also that has to be mentioned. So we talked about lowering the bar, being merciful. Everything that you do is a win, right? Part of that too is writing about anything in however manner you would like, even if it's one word. So, for example, some people think it has to be like, oh, I get to breathe and I get to, be able to drink water and or I'm able to go to the bathroom on my own. These things which are
Those are
big
big things.
things. It
Yeah.
is, it is, and but sometimes we're just not in that. We're in a different mindset. And so it could simply be, oh wow, I thank God, like I just get a little bit of water and it's quenching. Thirst quenching. Oh, it could just be like this little moment that's someone smile. It could be the littlest thing. Oh, the sweetness of the chocolate.
Thank you for this chair. I'm telling you, if
Yeah,
you
little things.
thank you for everything, like you cannot be mad. Just can you imagine somebody like, thank you for this? Nobody's not doing that. Nobody's angry about that.
Yeah,
So I love how you say it's the little things, just be thankful. And we overlook so much. I love to travel. It's made me think of when we go out of different countries, and America is like, oh, I'm going to use the example of Brazil or Haiti, right? Haiti was one
yeah,
of the places, right? That now it's in the rest, but they were so poor. They sold this, they sold that. And Dominican, all these places you go, they warn you, Americans warn you. Oh, it's so sad. It's just, oh, so you kind of get this like, oh, I go there and I go, I wish I could be more like them.
they're happier probably.
They are smiling. They're in
Yeah,
this hut. They singing songs. They are playing with rocks and sticks and climbing
yeah,
trees. I'm like, dude,
yeah, yeah.
who? Why did we put? Now I get every time somebody say, "Oh, it's like." Don't put your standards of living, like you said earlier, to wrap back the expectations,
Well said. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
We putting our expectations on them, and they like, dude, we good, right? And when I went
yeah.
to travel to see the school, these kids had their little uniforms on. They were singing little songs and playing, and I started crying because that is pure joy. It's not about money. Like
Mm,
little bitty sixth grade Sahel said, it's not about the conquering the world or
yeah,
what do we have, but the joy that we have within.
yeah. 100%. And I think the word expectations is a powerful one because when we start then being grateful for the littlest things, then we're like, oh wow, it's not that I have it, it's I get to have it. Yeah. And that's brilliant. And for me, because life we has its moments, right? But at the
It's
very
life.
least, exactly. And that gratitude ends up, I like to call it almost as a life vest, where as the waves are coming and going and you're going up and down, at least you are above water
I love
and
it.
being able to ride it, which is so important. So now the question becomes, okay, I get it. I can keep the bar low, be merciful, be specific, then the other element then is, okay, well, what's the medium in which I do this?
Wow. Wait. Be specific. Go back to that one. The be
Yeah.
specific. Can we dig a little bit more into that?
Yeah. So the idea too is like as we write, or as we articulate our gratitude, something that I always did, but I realized as I spoken to so many people who do, who write gratitude and gone through the gratitude journeys that maybe they miss out on is visualizing what you're actually saying as you put it into writing or however you're sharing it, because it's bringing back then those memories and it's solidifying it, which is incredibly important. And so then being specific about the pen is not just about writing about, oh, I get to have a pen. It's about thinking about the emotion of the
Mm,
pen between your fingers, right?
great.
That
Thank
specific emotion.
you for the clarification. I got it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
then continue what you were saying.
Yeah. So then the question is the medium, right?
Right.
And so and this is what I struggled with. I love writing in a physical journal. I got another one right here next to me. Um, but I struggled to, just because of the demands of life, of always consistently writing this journal. And so maybe it is writing. Some people use a notes app. Some people write an email like I did. I ended up going an email and writing to it. And then what I ended up creating, because a lot of my friends and family, they're like, this is a great idea. We'd love to do this. So I went ahead and I analyzed those 3 years of all those random moments that I scheduled sended, all those gratitude messages or those
Right.
nudges, and I put it into a text message based tool. And so one would get a text message like an SMS or a WhatsApp or an iMessage. And what I loved about that, and what others love about it too, is that now I'm writing things. I'm an Apple person. So I would write on my iPad, I'd write on my MacBook, I just keep writing. But then I can do a voice memo, and then I'm putting in photos and I'm putting in videos. And so now it's becoming this journal of all the moments that I've been loved in such an easy and accessible way that's right where so many of us are working and having life, which is on our phones. So that's another question we have to ask ourselves, which is what's the medium for us?
Okay, so how do we get this? Like, you can't just like, is it somewhere that is available? Did you create this app?
Yeah, so it's Bring Soul. So the product I ended up calling it Soul. And the idea is to, as I mentioned, is to build greater access to inner light that illuminates the beauty of life. Gratitude does that. And so bringsoul.life is the URL. And if you go, you just sign up in less than 5 minutes. And then you get a text message, and then you get spontaneous text messages throughout the week. You don't know when you're going to receive them. And you just reply to the text. And the way you would love the way this is designed, I feel like you would, because it's all about being compassionate and creating an accessible, safe, and loving place for people to really open up and feel loved for who they are. I mean, you write a message, you get this thank you message, and the thank you message can be sensational. It's like, it's loving. We have these thank you messages. Just getting the thank you messages is so fun. I'm gonna read you a couple that
Okay,
you'd
because it's like
absolutely
an
love.
online community, right? Or
Uh,
how does it?
Yeah, so you get a text message and you're writing to yourself. It's almost like an SMS journal.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Read me some of the stuff.
Yeah. So for example, and you know that emoticon with the happy tear?
Yes.
Okay. So this is in this one. It says, so I wrote something in my gratitude journal and I'm writing to myself. And then I get a response back. You're so special. Thank you. The world needs more of you. Right. I, did last time I got, look at you making it happen. Or another one, remember, you're talented, brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping, spectacular, never the same, totally unique. And every time you just write, or put in a photo even, or put in a voice memo, you get these messages, and it's so loving.
Okay, so tell us again, because I know all of us need a little this in our life. We need a little soul in our life. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we get it? Tell us again where it is.
Yeah. So the website is bringsoul.life. And when you go to bringsoul.life, you just put in your phone number. Sign up is less than 5 minutes, and then you'll get started. You'll get a text message and get started with this SMS based journal, and then you can do your journaling there. And what's brilliant about this which I love, is that I never have to think about doing it. It's not like, oh, I got to do this again. It just comes to me and I just respond and I put a photo or whatever it is. And all of that then goes into an online interface, an online journal, where then you can print it out into a book or a bracelet or a mug, and you can even export it into a PNG or an image, excerpts. Here's like another fun thing. Like, say you mentioned somebody, right? Well, you can highlight that part and then export it and send it to them, export as a PNG or an image or an Instagram type of story, and then share it with them so they can then see, hey, look, you were mentioned in my gratitude journal. Look what I wrote about you. Not brilliant? I think it's brilliant. I'm sorry, but I think it's
Beyond
great.
brilliant. I mean, beyond, because this is totally what the world needs now. I said it in the beginning. I'm going to say it at the end. You know, you are awesome sauce, really. And I appreciate everything you do, and I'm grateful for what you do, because you made the inner light, your inner light shine, not only for you, but it helps so many other people, and that is so impactful.
Yeah.
So you know, before I wrap it up, you know, I'm going to ask you questions, because where we are is all about being honest and
Yeah.
authentic. And my whole platform is about living fit. And, you know, when I say fit, I mean focus plus intentional equals transformation. And so how you are the definition of that.
Well, it's extremely humbling, and thank you so much, especially coming from you. Really.
I think that is awesome, because you focused on that from a little kid. You moved with intentions, and you really are transforming this earth, and we need it. So I appreciate you. And you know, I got a question, one final question. Okay.
Go for it.
How do you take care of you? What does your self-care looks like?
Oh, that's a deep question because I do so much. I
Oh,
mean,
let's go. Yeah.
okay. Well, I want to first mention I'm extremely grateful for you and your energy and the fact that you have such an open heart that reflects and shines uh, not only the work that I'm doing, but the work of so many great other great people that you speak to. So it's very much a privilege and very humbling to hear. To answer your question, I would say that one of the things I've done is I've built routines that really focus on three different areas. The first one is definitely spiritual. So I do a lot of meditation, prayer, um, throughout the day, 3 times a day, actually, to be specific, morning, afternoon, and evening. And it's been a journey to find what are the ways that that resonates with me. And so I find beautiful prayers across different religions that are sensational prayers. And I feel like it's not just an obligation, but an absolute, like it's so, it's like water, it's
Right.
that necessary to life. The second one is psychological. And so what does that mean is I've identified certain things that make me joyful, certain foods, certain experiences, and certain people that I like to surround myself with.
Right.
And so I try to just double down on those as much as I can.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then the third one is physical. And I'm a big walker. I also love pickleball and a few other things. I used to horseback ride. I haven't done one recently, but I did a year of horseback riding, learning training there, and tango and other ways to, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, to
yeah,
just
yeah.
to just engage with myself and with others in a meaningful way. And so, there's certain moments where it's like we need more physical activity here. Let's go. You're too much in front of the computer. Sometimes it's more of the spiritual and understanding myself more. So yeah, that's what I do.
I really appreciate it, because that's some really good things that I have. You know, I love asking people that, because everybody love themselves differently.
Hmm.
And so I love the prayer 3 times. You know, that's a really good one, because I look at it as this way. God created the most amazing, beautiful world, the natural thing. That's the real flex. Like the real
Yeah.
flex is like, look, it's the Grand Canyon. it's a river. It's a
Yeah.
that's a real flex. And if he made all this amazing thing, this world is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And he took time to make little bitty me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Little bitty me, then I owe my everything to him. So I love that you say the prayer 3 times, the psychological, that's very profound for a lot of people. We don't
Yeah.
think about that when we're talking about self-care. Double down, boy, double down on the people that feel good. You know, that's the thing. And then the physical. So, I mean, thank you again. And before I say adios,
Yeah.
anything else you want to tell the people? We already
Yes.
started the show, but tell us.
Yeah, actually. So two things, but one quick one is friend 30 for 30 days on me to try out Soul. As you check out, it's pretty accessible. And then the second thing that I think is really, really worth mentioning, just to wrap up the self-care, which is these are all there's a source which I believe is divine, and I'm sure you agree with. And I believe that source is a part of every element that I just described. I mean, yes, it's a part of the spiritual, but it is a part of the psychological, is a part of the physical, and all of that's ultimately to really realize our own inner light and the divinity that is within us and also throughout the world. And that's so important to talk about, that it all comes down to a source, not just necessarily just separate pieces that we try to tick off a box. It's about fully being realized for why we are here.
Bam, drop mic, and we have nothing else to say. Listen, guys, you are welcome, because I know that Soil is amazing. Make sure you connect with him. Until next week, you guys, it's your girl, Elizabeth Colin, and I want you to live fit. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Misfit One Lifestyles. Listen, when you are fed up and sick and tired of living this stifled, overwhelmed, and overstressed life, and you're ready to live the fullest, richest, and healthiest life by gaining more confidence, more energy, and more clarity, living in your best self, you know what to do, right? Go ahead, go to my website, misfit1.com. Sign up for our online courses, Creating Healthy Habit, so that you too can live fit, focus, move with intention, and transform your life.